Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. It is an absolute honour and a pleasure to be on the channel making a video talking about no one else other than the special one himself. Yes, we are talking about the potential return of Jose Mourinho to Stamford Bridge. My. This is a talking point. He is the name on everyone's lips. Not just Chelsea fans, by the way, world football, because when things happen with Jose Mourinho, it is box office. Eyes read things about Jose Mourinho. It gets people talking. He is a huge conversation point no matter where he is, and he's just been sacked from Roma. It's a tearful, emotional departure, but isn't that always the case for Jose Mourinho? I mean, even Tottenham fans were crying when he got sacked a couple of days before their final, because that was their chance to finally win something. Jose Mourinho, this is a guy with one of the best records in finals ever, and wow, what a manager he has proven to be since all those years ago when he took Porto to that UEFA Cup glory and then onwards from there. What a manager. And who knows that better than anyone else than Chelsea fans? We are so familiar with Jose. We know the highs and we know the lows. We've been on the end of heartbreak with Mourinho. We've been on the end of shock. That first time he got sacked, I couldn't believe it. And I don't think the players could believe it. And I don't think any other person in football could believe the special one was leaving Stamford Bridge. The second time round, it all went a bit wrong. Remember the scenario with Eva Canero, and it all kind of started getting a bit messy. And then the wheels started coming off. But look, he won us a Premier League in that time as well. And we were playing some exceptional football. He was the reason Pedro rocked up at the bridge. The reason Fabregas rocked up at the bridge. Also probably the reason Salah and De Bruyne never really had careers at Chelsea. So let's get into it, shall we? I'm Dan, and I'm going to give you 6 reasons, 3 good, 3 bad, on why Jose Mourinho should or shouldn't return to the dugout at Stamford Bridge. Well, let's start with the negatives, shall we? First up, Pochettino's barely got his feet under the door. It's a new team. It's a different look Chelsea under Clearlake Capital. Would he fit the model that this board and this ownership and this squad of players is trying to become? I'm not so sure. I don't think that this is a match made in heaven right now for where Chelsea is currently. The issue I have with that is where Chelsea are currently isn't where anyone at the club apparently wants to stay. No one wants to be an above-average mid-table side. No one wants to not be winning anything. No one wants to be playing unattractive, boring, planless football, which is what we seem to be doing. And no one really is having Pochettino at the moment in terms of what he's actually done. It doesn't look like we've progressed too far. So, although if Jose was coming into a team like that, he wouldn't be the right fit. On the other hand, and the first positive we have, he would be the best thing that could happen to a squad of inexperienced players who haven't ever won anything and don't really know what it feels like or looks like to win. And that's why I think this is so important. Who better to bring in? Who has a better track record, honestly, of turning things around for teams that don't remember or don't look like they're going to be able to win something? You can look at every single team he's been at, and Jose Mourinho's done something. If we focus in a little bit, let's talk about Chelsea. 55 years we haven't won a Premier League. He comes in and does it in his first season and built an exceptional team. And the style of football then, wow, that was unbelievable. We'll get onto that a bit later, but I'm not sure that style of football could be repeated under Mourinho. He then went to Inter Milan. They hadn't won anything for 40 years or something like that. He won the treble. He went to Real Madrid. They hadn't won a Copa del Rey for over 20 years. He won that. He went to Roma. I think that's another 20 years as well. And he won them European trophy and got them to another final. He even got Tottenham to a final. And like I said, they sacked him a couple of days before he probably would have gone on and done something in that, because Jose Mourinho wins trophies. He turns dressing rooms into winners, no matter at what cost, by the way. And sometimes that becomes a problem. That moves me on to number 2. What happens with Jose when the wheels come off? Because we all know it's going to happen. You get 2 or 3 unbelievable years of pure magic where it feels amazing. It feels like your team's unstoppable. It wins at any cost. But my gosh, there's some casualties along the way. And when the wheels come off, it is horrible for everyone. And just look at Roma. Look at that. The fans love him. They know what he's capable of. They know what he can do for a club, for a team. They know what Jose Mourinho can make you feel. We've been there as Chelsea fans, but when it all goes wrong, it's gut-wrenching, because this is the one where you always just want it to work out that little bit more. But my gosh, it goes wrong and it self-destructs and it blows up and it is damaging, and there is a lot of collateral damage. And that's what would worry me. Think how many players have been sacrificed to Mourinho. Think how many members of staff haven't made it past the Jose Mourinho era. Then what happens? I'm not so sure. But moving back over to the positives, like I said, this could be amazing for the dressing room. This could be amazing for the board. Look at what Jose Mourinho did when he come into Chelsea first time round. And I know that's a long time ago. And I know he was this young, egotistical, fresh manager, the new kid on the block, the special one, like he said. He's still got some of those qualities. And I think he turns people into winners, whether they're players or managers. I actually think he did that to Daniel Levy for a bit, because it left him chasing Conte, right? He was like, oh my gosh, Mourinho's not worked. Let me go for Conte, because we need to win. We got so close with Jose Mourinho, right? And that's what I think would be amazing for Todd Boehly to see. I think that would be amazing for Clear Lake Capital to see what a real winner looks like. Hopefully win something and feel what winning something looks like. Because for some reason, in terms of what Todd Boehly's done in America, I just don't think winning quite feels the same. Now, I can't say that 100% wholeheartedly, because I don't know what it feels like to win in terms of baseball or basketball or anything like that. But I think Boehly's been shocked at how much of a struggle it is to turn a football team into a winning machine. And Jose Mourinho is an expert at that. And I think he would educate Boehly on what it takes to make a dressing room look like, feel like. Imagine Cobham again. It would feel unbelievable. You'd have this winning mentality, an elite feeling where no matter who you're preparing to play, you can win. We've heard every single player that's ever played under Jose Mourinho pretty much say the same thing. He makes you feel invincible. He makes you feel like losing isn't an option. And that's what he does. He's an expert at that. And I think not just the players could benefit from that. I think the board too. And I think that's really important to remember, is we've got a lot of yes men in recently under Boehly. So every time he's like, oh yeah, we want to do this with the kids, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, Todd, that sounds great. But actually, Jose Mourinho is the type of guy to turn around and say, that's not happening. If I'm the manager, that doesn't happen. That might be needed to kind of put Boehly back in his box and give him a bit of direction on where a team needs to head in terms of winning and the type of players you need to bring in. Let's move over to the third negative I've got. And this one is a bit of a what if, but there's quite a high chance it could happen. If Jose Mourinho gets his hands on Cole Palmer, what could happen? Do not forget that when Jose Mourinho came back, Juan Mata was the casualty. Our two-time player of the year, a world beater, an exceptionally talented footballer, was dispatched of very, very quickly. Some unbelievable young talent never even got a chance. Salah, De Bruyne, they didn't really get a sniff, if I'm being honest with you. And look at the careers they went on to have. Who could be the casualties of Jose Mourinho's return? That worries me. Look at Roma, right? His most recent club, Zaniolo, the kid, the wonder boy, the future of Roma, was pushed out the door. Yes, a couple of bad injuries, but Mourinho did not want him about. Doesn't mean they disliked each other. They've had arguments. Zaniolo actually thanked him after he left Roma for what he did for him. But my gosh, you know there's casualties with Mourinho. And what if that's Cole Palmer, the guy who I think has one of the highest ceilings in the Premier League at the moment in terms of potential? That would worry me. I wouldn't want to see Cole Palmer be a casualty at the cost of a Jose Mourinho return. You have to remember that. Don't forget, for some of you, remember what he tried to do with Joe Cole. Joe Cole was this rebel in terms of what a footballer should look like, and Jose Mourinho wasn't happy with that. Joe Cole would try audacious things when he was at West Ham, very early days at Chelsea. Jose Mourinho wasn't having that, and look, Joe Cole says that made him a winner, made him who he was, but it did take a bit of that specialness out of Joe Cole's game. And just imagine, right, if he got hold of Zola. Thank goodness Zola left when he did. But I also want to just touch on Jose Mourinho and his tactics. And I think it's a good point to talk about this here with the likes of Joe Cole and Mata and Dele Alli and Zaniolo, the types of players that Mourinho's sort of wanted to phase out of his team because they didn't really fit. And I know this question's going to come up, but although he's won things in recent years, are Jose Mourinho's tactics outdated? Well, I'm not so sure if they're outdated because they still bring success, but they probably don't fit the norm of what we want to see as football fans because of what we've seen and been educated to from the likes of Pep Guardiola and some of the other best managers around. Don't forget that Jose Mourinho's style of football is no longer the flying wingers of Robben and Duff and the amazingness of Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a different Jose Mourinho these days, and the football can look a little bit different, but it does bring you results. Just remember to keep that in mind because it might not all be sunshine and rainbows on the pitch as well. Now, moving on to the last positive, and this is the one that I think makes every Chelsea fan consider this move, consider this as an option. It's that nostalgia hit. We all know what Jose Mourinho is capable of. We all know that he is a fantastic manager, and when it's going well, it is amazing. And we remember that better than anyone else as Chelsea fans. And that is why I think we would have him back. That's why this conversation comes up every single time he's available for a job, pretty much. And when we're struggling more often than not, that name is mentioned because it's worked for Jose in the past for Chelsea. Look, we do look a bit different, but I think that could be a good reason for him to come in, kind of remind everyone what Chelsea's about, what he started pretty much, if you like, when he came in all those years ago. Jose Mourinho and the nostalgia hit would be amazing. People would be queuing up. Those Westview tickets wouldn't be struggling to sell on general sale. Let me tell you that, because he is box office. No matter who you are, you want to see Jose Mourinho involved in football and in a top club more than likely, especially in England, because he's box office and we want him in and about our game and our league more than anything. And more importantly, we know what he can do for our club. And I think that's why we're all drawn to that special return of Jose Mourinho, right? Now, I can't decide, and you can probably tell that I've got a few bad points and a few good points. I'm going to need your help in the comments down below. Let me know if you think Jose would be a good fit to return to Stamford Bridge right now. If you're new, make sure to subscribe, or if you've watched a few videos, hit the like button. We want to see you in the comments section talking about this. Thanks for tuning into Chelsea Fan TV, and I will catch you when I'm back on the channel. See you in the next one.